Ollie decided he was going to go camping. It was not really something that he'd done before. I mean, he'd occasionally gone camping with like a big group of friends. Even that had been a while. But he was like, you know what? Lots of people go camping and enjoy it. I'm going to go camping. I'm going to take a long weekend. I'm going to go to Pennsylvania, get some campsite, and rough it for the weekend. Go hiking and stuff. Swim in some sort of creek or river. So I found a campsite. It was a state park campsite out in the woods there, kind of in the mountains. And he borrowed a tent and some other camping gear from some of his friends. And he went to the grocery store and got some food that he felt like he could cook. And he'd gotten kind of instructions on how this camping stove that he was borrowing worked. Shh. And he got marshmallows, chocolate bars, and graham crackers to do s'mores. And he even got some of those long pre-made bamboo stick skewers for grilling stuff with. And when he looked at the stuff he was bringing, he thought, I probably have too much stuff. But, my first time out going all by myself, better to overpack than to underpack. So he rented a car and he drove out there. He got up to the entrance to the state park, and there was a ranger station there where you checked in. And the ranger said, shh, lie down, go to sleep. He's going camping all by himself this time. He wants to try and see if he can do it all by himself. Marion, hush now. And the park ranger said, hey there, welcome. Have you been here before? I said, no, I've never actually been camping by myself at all before. And I've never been here at all. I said, oh, well, do you want me to kind of show you around the campsite? I'm about to change shifts, so there's two of us here. I could show you around. I'd hop in your car, and you could just drop me off here on the way back out. And I said, sure, it'd be nice, actually, thank you. So the ranger got in Ollie's car, and they drove out, and I said, okay, so right here is where you're going to put your garbage. And that's the ranger station. So there's somebody there all night long. If you really get into trouble, you can come here. Mostly it's just, a backup thing. Let's see, that's the bathhouse. So there's a men's and a women's, and there's showers and toilets and sinks and stuff in there. And that's open all night long. The lights aren't on, but they're on motion detectors. So, as soon as you go in, those will turn on. Let's see, you're on campsite. You're on number 53. Okay, so that's around on the far side. That's a really nice part of the park. I mean, the whole park's nice, but that part's really quiet. Let's see. All right, so there's your site there. And if you look, you see that sign with a little picture of the person walking on it? I said, yeah, I see it. That's the start of one of the hiking trails. I gave you a map. So if you go on there, if you walk, there's a little trail you'll see by that sign. And there's some really nice hiking trails. That one goes up along the ridge, along the mountain, top of the mountain there. Some great views. It's beautiful, really beautiful. I said, okay, great. I feel like I'm pretty well situated here. I guess I should drop you back down at the ranger station. Or at the entry gate, or... I said, you know what, actually, I've got a couple things I need to do up here. So you can just park at your campsite, and I'll go. I need to do some stuff with the restrooms, and one of the campsites needs a little bit of repair. So, I'll just walk back. Don't worry about it. I said, okay, if you're sure. I don't mind, but thank you for showing me around. I said, hey, no problem. Good luck with your camping. So Ollie, parked his car at the campsite, and he'd gotten some firewood along with the groceries. So he tried to unpack his car, unpack into the campsite. There's a little table there, kind of like we have here at this campsite. So he put his food stuff out there. He didn't bring a lot, just one person, no big deal. He started to set up his tent. And he wasn't, he couldn't quite figure it all out. Like, he got something that was sort of vaguely in the shape of a dome, but it didn't look like right. And it was kind of, the bottom was round too. Something was going weird there. And as he was sitting there struggling with it, a couple walked by. And one of the people in the couple said, "Hey there, friend, are you having trouble with your tent?" I said, I am, actually, yeah. I'm a little bit new to this. I said, "Hey, no worries. Everybody's new to it at some point. Would you like a hand?" I used to have a tent just like that. I said, Sure. Yeah, what I can't figure out is why it's sort of making the bottom part round. It's like it's making a ball instead of a dome. I said, "Oh, yeah, so you've got some of this here. I'll show you." And the lady showed him. He just had some of the poles stuck into the wrong parts. And so a few minutes later, they had them all set up and the tent was good to go. I said, "Hey, good to meet you. Are you here for the weekend?" I said, "Yeah, yep, here for a long weekend." I said, "Great, well, maybe we'll see you around the campsite." And they kept going on their walk. And I thought, well, that's really nice. So he got out, he rolled his mat out. He just was doing a mat in a sleeping bag. He got his pillow set up. And it was starting to get a little bit toward dusk. It was supposed to get chilly that night. So Ollie was glad he had a big sleeping bag. And then he thought, well, I better cook. He got in some vegetarian sausages, some baked beans. And then he had some cornbread, already cooked, already made. He started arranging his logs. And he had some matches. And darn it, he could not get that fire to stay lit. He could get some of the little sticks he was using as kindling going, but could not get the whole thing. And the campsites were pretty secluded from one another, but there was one sort of spot where, sitting at their campsite, the folks in the campsite over could see to Ollie's, fire pit area. And after Ollie had been at it for a while, he heard footsteps. And there was an older lady, like maybe in her 60s. She said, "Pardon me, young man. I don't mean to intrude, but it looks like you're struggling with your fire. Do you want a hand?" And I said, "Yeah, I didn't think to research about this. I don't camp much. And yeah, I'm having trouble getting it started." I said, "Oh, well, there's a few tricks I can teach you." So one trick is to make a kind of like a little house out of it, like this. And she rearranged some of the logs so it made a little house, kind of like an old-timey log cabin. And then you put a bunch of kindling in the middle, and that usually works pretty well. Or you can also make a big teepee. I don't know, are you cooking, or are you just gonna enjoy the fire? And so they started talking about it, and Ollie learned so much from this nice old lady. She knew a lot about making and building fires and maintaining fires and cooking over fires. She showed him where to put the can of the baked beans and how to open it so that it didn't spill everywhere, but it also didn't, explode. She said, "Okay, I think you should be good. But if you need anything, don't be shy. We're right over there." Me and my husband, we've been camping, oh gosh, I guess we started in our late 30s, and we're in our 60s now. So, yeah, we're right there if you need anything. Don't be shy. I said, "Thank you. Thank you so much for your help, and nice to meet you." So Ollie spiked his veggie sausages on a stick that he'd carved, and he roasted them. He had set his baked beans in the fire right where the lady had showed him. He got out his cornbread and got out his plate and his knife, and he had a lovely dinner. It was really good. It was all, warm and smoky. He thought, well, I guess it's time for me to turn in. I want to do a lot of hiking tomorrow, so yeah. He put out his fire, got in his bed and curled up. And right as he was starting to doze off, he heard a loud, and he shot straight up in bed. Is that a wolf? It's a wolf. Are there supposed to be wolves here? was really scared. He didn't know what to do. He didn't bring, like, weapons. He didn't know how to fight off a wolf. He was fretting and started to pace around his tent. And he heard the lady again call over. He said, Mr. Ollie, don't worry about the wolf, but just stay in your tent. It sounded like it was about, a couple of hundred yards off. Sometimes they come sniffing around, but usually they keep to themselves. Did you leave any food out? I said, no, I put it all back away. Then they probably won't bother you. Usually somebody left some food out. There's always some camper that leaves some hot dogs or whatever out. Those will get eaten, and then the wolf will move on. Don't even worry about it. Just stay in your tent. You're sure they won't, like, attack the tents? If they do, it'll be the first time I've ever seen them do it. They don't want to bother us. They just want a free snack. I said, all right, thank you. It took him a little bit to get to sleep, knowing there was potentially a wolf wandering around, but eventually he didn't hear the howling again, and he dozed off to sleep. Well, the whole weekend went kind of like that, where Ollie didn't totally know what he was doing, but people around him were happy to help. So he stayed his long weekend. He hiked his hikes. He cooked. He ended up going over and having dinner with the older couple next campsite over the second night, because they had some tasty looking stuff and he had some tasty looking stuff, and they got to talking and they just had a lovely old time. And I was driving back to Baltimore. He thought, this could be a thing that I do. This could be one of the things that Ollie the Octopus does to get away. Because my cell phone didn't ring all weekend long. And I know that's because I wasn't inside any kind of cell phone service range, but that sounds all right. But you know what I need now? To make this drive home, I'm going to stop and I'm going to get myself a nice warm cup of coffee that somebody else made. And that was Ollie and the camping trip.